In 2019, we began to build our dream.
But the journey started long before you were invited to watch.
We walked a path that spanned nearly 2 decades.
There were times of joy, pain, and everything in between.
Our lives have completely changed, and we're ready to tell you how it happened.
We're not holding back.
Our mistakes, regrets,
What we wish we could change, our best decisions.
and if we do it again, you'll hear it all.
Come back in time with us behind the camera and answer the question,
Is self-building worth it?
All right, guys, welcome back to Mr. Post Frame. This is the series, Is Self-Building Worth It? And today's topic is how not to overcomplicate your life. I'm just kidding. Today's topic is going to be on a conventional septic system.
Yeah.
And installing it.
Yes. We get so many questions about this. One of the top questions is always, why the heck is this thing so big? That's what she said.
This is appropriate for children. Let's keep it that way. Before we get started, guys, if you want to design a Barndominium, shed, building, anything like that, reach out to us. Back40buildings.com, that's our design company. We can help you out with that. Also, if you want to self-build, we have a patron group. That's great for self-builders, people that want to self-GC, builders that want to get into post-frame building. It's a great community of other self-builders. You get to share your builds, get to ask questions. We do lives with different people, so check that out. But let's go ahead and just jump into this septic system install. Afternoon, and when you if you decide to do a septic tank on system on your own, which most places will let you, I mean, you need to have a little bit of experience. You need a laser level. Is very important because all your field lines have to be completely level. If that's the type of system that they approve for you. I had my Perc Test done, so I can have a conventional system. It's going to be a gravity-fed system, so there'll be no pumps, anything like that. So I'm digging my hole for my tank. So just to start out, there are multiple kinds of septic systems. If you live in town, your house is going to be hooked up to city sewer. So everything leaves your house, goes into the city sewer. They manage all that. Goes to a treatment plant, whatever. If you live out in the country or you're going to be building, most likely you're going to have some sort, you're going to have some sort of way to handle your sewage, your water leaving your house, and that's with a septic system. So what that entails is you have to have some kind of septic tank. Most likely it's going to be a dual chamber tank. And then from there it's going to go to either a conventional leach field, or it's going to go to a sand filter, or it's going to go to a moss filter system. There's multiple ways to do it. The one you're going to see here is a conventional septic system. And the first question I'm going to address is, why is this leach field so big? So we have 5 bedrooms, 5 baths. And so what counties typically do is they take the number of bedrooms, they figure out what is the average, how many people can sleep in that bedroom.
They're calculating the size of your septic system, assuming that 2 people are living full-time in every single bedroom that you have. So a 5-bedroom home, they want to make sure that the system could support 10 people living here full-time.
Yeah, and then you have to have a Perc Test. A Perc Test, somebody will come out, they'll core holes in the ground and see what the percolation rate of your soil is. And what that means is how much water can the ground absorb in how much of time. And then based on that test, they will decide, hey, can this support a conventional leach field, or does it have to be a sand filter or some other kind of system?
Mm-hmm. You don't have a lot of you don't get to negotiate with them.
There are places still in the country that you get to decide, but like here, it's, we had the Perc Test done. They said, hey, this system needs to be able to handle 1,000 gallons of water per day. Based on that and our Perc Test, we had to have 700 linear feet of leach line. So there was no way around that.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yes, so if you have a department that is going to tell you what your septic system needs to, the design is going to be, I mean, that is the answer to that question, why is ours so large, is because we had no say in it. They designed it, they said this is what you need to do, and so you just have to do that. Now, on the flip side, I would say that even though there was a very like planned out, this is what you have to do, we have seen quite a few places that will allow a self-install. Like even when we lived in Illinois where they had tons of restrictions and things like that, that was still one of the options, was that Paul could have installed the septic there on his own.
I did have one inspector tell me that he goes, yes, the law allows you to do this, but he goes, no matter what you do, I'm failing you because you're not a contractor.
Yeah.
So there are those people.
Yes, so you're gonna sometimes run into those people, but yeah. So that's just something to keep in mind. What would you say is the kind of the skill level if somebody is contemplating this?
I mean, you need to be mechanically inclined.
Yes.
You need to know that, like, to have a gravity fed system, everything has to flow downhill. So everything coming from the house to the tank here is a 1/4 inch per foot drop, because that's going to handle your solids and water. And what that does is you can't have too steep of a drop, because the water will run away. The water can run away and leave the solids in the pipe. And if it's not a steep enough drop, they won't flow. So that's where the 1/4 inch per foot drop comes. Mm-hmm. Once you get to the tank, all of your solids are going to stay in that tank. They're going to settle to the bottom, scum comes to the top, it goes over to a second chamber, same thing happens. And then the only thing leaving that tank is the liquids. So they're going out and being distributed to your leach field. So you don't have to have a 1/4 inch per foot drop there. It just needs to be a slight slope so that it flows to your distribution box, and then a slight slope. I mean, it can be steeper going to your leach field. Mm-hmm. So there's really no right or wrong once you leave that septic tank. It's just getting to it, you need to have the proper amount of fall.
Yes, yes.
So I don't know, digging trenches, you have to be able to dig on grade. Like, so you got to figure out what your depth of your trench is going to be, and then you have to be able to dig that pretty level, plus or minus. I think here it was plus or minus 6 inches, which, I mean, I was within a couple inches. You don't want to over dig because you can't backfill. So, I mean, those are things
right
that you have to keep in mind.
Sure, yeah. So if you are allowed to do this, this is not the time where you go, it's good enough.
Yeah, I would say you could do the whole thing, and if you're not comfortable on an excavator or a backhoe digging a nice level trench, find a friend that maybe is an operator or something and pay him an hourly rate to come dig your trenches.
Yeah.
And then you can be installing, there's a couple different types of leach lines you can do. You can do the gravel and PVC method, where you're running your PVC that's perforated through your trench, and then you're surrounding it with clean rock. Or you can, where septic chambers are allowed, you can use those. That's what I used, and they worked really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's definitely some thought, some timing. You have to do it, like, you can't do it right before, you can't dig all your trenches and then have a couple inches of rain. I
mean, you can, it's just, you want to, when you start it, digging your lines, you want to get it done.
Right, yes.
Like, you don't want it to be like a 2-month process. Like, it needs to be done in a week.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, somebody, what are someone's options though? Say they look at our septic field and they're like, that takes up a massive amount of space because you can't do anything over those lines, correct?
Correct. So I guess if I had to do it over again, I probably would change the type of field. I would probably do a sand filter. I mean, we would still have to have a pretty large sand filter, but I could have tucked it down over here by the woods.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? I could have put the sand filter over there, which would have been, it would have been the same thing. Based on how many rooms we have to be able to, our system has to be able to handle 1,000 gallons a day. So they would size the sand filter, and basically what you're doing is you're digging out a big, huge square of soil, and then you're filling it with a specific kind of sand. You're running your pipes through, so it's distributing the liquids over the top. It's going down, and then you have to have a tube leaving that lets the water escape out the bottom. But it would have taken up a lot less room than this, and I could have essentially probably built a building over there.
Sure. Yeah, so if you're tight on space.
Yeah, I would say that it's created a nice space for the kids to play, football, all that kind of stuff.
Yes. The aesthetics of it is that we have a really beautiful lawn as you're driving up to the house. Like, there's nothing that will ever go there. But if that's like kind of the general location where you like wish that you could have some of your garden, or you want to be able to drive, have parking on it or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, having a system. Now, though, we said all of that, but other types of systems are more expensive.
Yes.
Materials and labor and everything.
Yeah, you're going to go up quite a bit. Like, from a sand filter is going to cost you quite a bit more than just a conventional system. I would say either of them are probably, as far as a DIY, could be, one's really, I don't think really any more difficult than the other. Mm-hmm. The thing that's nice about it is if you have to have a Perc Test base, they're designing your system. So when I had this Perc Test done on this, I got the report back from the county, and it specified, hey, I have to have a 2,000 gallon dual chamber septic tank. I have to have a distribution box. I have to have 7 lines that are 100 feet long. The bottom of the trench can only be 33 inches deep. I need a minimum of 6-inch coverage, right. Maximum 12 inch. So it laid everything out perfectly, right, on what I had to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, this is one of those things that is, a septic system isn't meant to last forever. So what's the maintenance? What's the lifespan?
So basically, the point of the septic tank is to collect all of the solids. In that septic tank, you're going to have bacteria that forms, which is going to break down everything. And the whole point of the septic tank is to keep all of the solids, the scum, all of that out of your leach field, to make the longevity of your leach field last longer. Things that can shorten the lifespan are, detergents, stuff like that. And what happens is, over time, that stuff gets into your leach field and it will plug the soil. So the soil, you're almost like sealing the soil so it can't absorb it anymore. So I wouldn't say, I don't know. I mean, we use 200 gallons a day? 200 to 220 when we don't have a toilet running.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is rated for 1,000 gallons a day. So I would imagine that this system will easily last us, should easily last us 20, 30 years. Now, sure, they're not going to put a lifespan on that of that long. They're probably going to say, well, you're good for 10, 15 years. And the same thing with sand filters, same thing. And so I would say replacing a sand filter is going to be much easier than replacing a leach field, because a sand filter, you could have somebody come in, they suck all of the sand back out of that same hole. You have to remove your pipe, they suck all the sand out, replace it all, and you can use that same spot. Whereas a leach field, when that goes bad, you are probably going to have to move your lines to a different spot, because sure, you're plugging that soil. Whereas the filter in a sand system is the sand. So if you're removing the sand,
you're just removed the plug.
You're replacing it. Same thing with like the moss pit, and there's other. So basically, how that system works is there's 2 tanks. You have your septic tank, and then right after that is your moss filter, which is another concrete tank that's filled with moss, peat moss, a special kind of peat moss, and they have other stuff that you put in there. So that system is really easy. You're probably not going to get as much time out of it, but literally when that goes bad, take off the top, they bring in a suction truck, suck it all out, repack it, and you're back up and running.
Sure.
So that is a really, doesn't take up hardly any space.
Right. Yeah, which would be kind of fun to use that if we can, on a project, to just see what we think about,
yeah,
space-wise and stuff. It's, yeah, and you say sometimes people, I'll see people online and they'll just be kind of going going nuts about telling people not to use stuff, not to do stuff, and I don't know. I mean, that's hard to say when it's like, well, this could plug your system, or this could do this, or this could do that. It's like, well, but you also need to like live. Like somebody was like, don't use dish soap. And it was like, well,
and here's the thing.
how are you
like,
gonna wash your dishes?
You'll read comments about this and people will say, well, those septic chambers aren't gonna last. This system will fail in 2 months. Well, it's been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
And maybe that person did have a bad experience, but you have to go back to, was there a Perc test? Was it installed properly? What was going on? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of missing information to know why that system failed. You know what I mean? Because groundwater is a huge problem too. We have Perc tests where they'll call for a curtain drain around the septic field. And the curtain drain is basically a trench that goes down, 4 feet and goes all the way around the system or wherever they say it needs to be, and then you fill it with clean rock. We have to put a drain pipe at the bottom, fill it with clean rock. Then if you have an area where there's a lot of groundwater, any water heading towards your leach field will hit that curtain drain, fall to the bottom, and go out, and that way it protects the soil around your leach field from being oversaturated. So there's just a multitude of things that can cause you problems. That's why a proper test is important. You might not always like what they have to say. I mean, it is what it is, but there are lots of options.
Yes, and and throughout the years, we've had people that, talk about how, well, all they have to do is have a piece of PVC coming out of the house and they don't have to go to all this and everything like that. Well, there's a reason why they are instituting, it's about protecting you from contamination,
right?
Waste,
yeah, you don't want to be there are places in the country where there still isn't code or requirements on a septic tank. You should at minimum have a septic tank to collect your solids. And then it's not hard to have some sort of filtering system. I mean, there's places in the country where you can have a retention pond. I wouldn't like that because then you would have your water's you're gonna have this retention pond, and depending on which way the wind blows, you're gonna smell, nasty liquids, right? So it's important it gets treated properly. And
yeah, this is not one of those areas where I think that people should just it just doesn't matter. It's it kind of does. It's kind of gross.
Yeah,
when you really stop and think about the whole purpose of it.
Yeah. I mean, the ground is the filter, so it's filtering that water, and that water those liquids are returning back at some point, probably to the aquifers or whatever else. But the ground, that's for years and years and years, people would use sand to filter water out of streams and everything else. They would dig a hole 5 feet over from the creek, and then water would go through the sand and filter out all of the bacteria from animals and everything else and go into that hole, and that's how they would get clean water. So it's been around for forever.
Yeah.
So a lot of comments are about your leach field's not deep enough, it's going to freeze here in the north.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Justin. We get lots of comments that the leach field isn't deep enough, why is it not going to freeze? And here's the thing, the way you have to design your system is already pre-planned by the people doing the Perc test in the county. And if you think about it, you have warm air, warm water moving through that pipe. And so it's under the ground insulates, it's not going to freeze. Now, where you can have a problem is if you have livestock over your leach field where they can press the frost down into the ground, then you could start having problems. But this has been done for forever in the cold climates, and there isn't problems. I mean, our tank comes up to our septic tank comes up to the top, the risers come up to the top of the ground, and so the only barrier between the water inside that tank is that little plastic cap, and it gets down to -20 here this winter for a week. And you got to think it's under the ground a couple feet, the water coming into it, and it's just not a problem. You know, I mean, I can't tell you why it isn't a problem, but just
It just isn't.
it just isn't a problem, or they wouldn't let you do it.
Right, yeah. In this instance, yes, there's enough design and regulation around this in our area that they're going to have thought through that, and it's going to prevent.
Yeah, now if you start driving over your septic field and you let animal, like a herd of cattle and stuff like that, living over your septic field, yeah, the frost is going to get driven down in the ground where it could eventually be a problem. But it's probably going to be more of a problem of them damaging the pipes and all of that than it actually like freezing.
Yeah. Yeah, because really the only thing you want to have over your septic field would be grass. Could you do wildflowers?
Yeah, you could do wildflowers, I suppose.
So anything with
you just don't want something that's going to take deep roots.
Right.
You know what I mean? The grass over the septic field is like so thick and like amazing because it's got all the nutrients it needs.
Yes.
Like it just goes to show you if your lawn has what it needs, it's going to be. I mean, it's so thick, it's annoying.
I know there's plenty of points where it's like you can see the green, you know exactly where all the line.
Yeah, like when it gets really dry.
Yeah.
In the summer, you know, you can see exactly where the lines are. And I put inspection ports in all of our lines just because I was interested to see like how much water is actually sitting in there. And we had one that was like a spring, 2 springs ago. We had like a really wet spring and the water table's really high, and there was a decent amount of water sitting in all of them. But I actually just checked the other day, and you can see the dirt. I mean, it's mud, like it's wet, but there's no standing water in there.
Sure.
So in 20 years, are you going to change the type of system? To say when it's time to...
Gosh, can you imagine living here in 20I years?
Our taxes will be so high that I'll be south.
Change to a different system.
Only because I would like to install a different kind. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I've thought about it. Like when I was trying to figure out where I was going to put a shop, I'm like, well, you know what? I'll put a sand filter in down here by the woods, and then I can dig up this leach field and build my building there. And then I'm like, I think we spent $6,000 on all this stuff. It would have easily cost us $15,000 to have this system installed. So I saved a ton of money.
Yeah.
Doing it ourselves, like a ton. But I don't know. You know, it's one of those things where it's working fine. And
that's one of those things that like that would be it'd be kind of silly.
There's all kinds of
We
things.
have room for buildings in other places. We have room for, our garden is on the other side of the house. Like we don't need that space for something. And so it would be kind of silly to go to the expense to take it out because it functions just fine. We've had no problems with it. We've had the tank pumped, I think once. Yeah, in the time frame because you can't do it too often.
2023 we had it pumped, so we need to have it pumped in 2026.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even close to full or anything.
Yeah. So
I think at the 18-minute mark, you mentioned that you have 200 and some subscribers and you're 20 videos deep.
That's all I had at that point?
I think it said 250.
Yeah, right here.
250 subscribers.
Let's listen to that.
And you're 20 videos in.
Click that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. I think we're at like 215 subscribers, which is pretty awesome. We started this, just this spring. I've decided once we get to landmark, so I think at 500 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, 5,000, and so on and so forth, I'm going to do a giveaway. 215?
yes.
Boy, I said we're at 215 subscribers, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, on October 28th, 2019.
Jeez, that's it? What was I doing?
Yeah.
Why did I keep doing this? Like, you want to talk about
Yeah, you want to talk about
ignorance.
or just pressing on. I mean, I guess, we were doing something right or wrong. I mean, because today
this video, like, I'm not saying this is mine, but I felt like this was a really good video.
Yeah.
I did this for 215 people. Just remember that.
Yep.
215.
And I think it's got over 700,000 views, or at 700,000 views or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how many it has. Yeah, it has 660,000 views. Oh, wow. I was getting after it.
Yeah. Buying some tools.
Buying some tools to give away. Boy, the odds would have been high then.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, if one thing you guys know about me is my goals are always set way higher than I can ever achieve. So
Yeah. But, now we're closing in on 400,000 subscribers. Things have definitely changed for the better. We've been able to help so many people with their builds. I mean, it's pretty cool. Today, this video has over 660,000 views on it, so we've definitely helped some folks.
yeah.
With
No,
their
that's
design.
crazy. That's hard to believe that 200, man, I was pumped too. I'm like, man, we're at 215 subscribers, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember
Yeah.
going to July, through July. We'd started it in March and I went through July and I had 30 subscribers and I'm like, which they were all family and friends. Actually, my sister hadn't even subscribed because she was our 1,000th subscriber.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and you just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen because we didn't know that about a month after this one was published would be our first cost video and it would go viral, and that's what got us to 1,000 subscribers. That's what got us to 15,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So things started rapidly changing from there, and then we all know what happened in early 2020, and that changed a lot of things too. And so, we're just very grateful that we get to be here helping people and showing people that, I guess, sometimes being pressing on and maybe being an idiot pays off.
Calling me an idiot?
No, I'm just saying,
Oh, you're just saying that might be the case.
It might be the case. I'm just saying, just keep pressing on. Sometimes it's worth it, even if it seems like a stupid thing to do.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess that's a wrap on any other questions, Justin? Think we should answer? All right, well, we appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, share us with your friends, and we will catch you on the next video.